Good Monday evening, everyone. Thanks for joining Stephanie and me in our home. It's an honor to have you. Tonight's devotion time is going to be a little different. I have some exciting news to share with our congregation. Exciting news that began this summer, as you'll hear about in a little bit. You'll be seeing a video for a presentation I did at church yesterday, and it's really, really exciting stuff. It began this summer with a phone call from the district to me, and then our elders and our leadership met together, and we've been working on this, and we're ready to present it to you guys. This is an opportunity that will truly, truly, truly be amazing for our congregation as we join with other Christians and brothers and sisters in growing God's kingdom. So I pray that you stay tuned. It's a little bit longer video tonight, so if you don't want to watch it all, you can always come back and watch parts of it later. But I hope that you enjoy it as we embark on a new journey at Christ Lutheran Church. So, I'm going to kind of bring you up to speed on a couple of things. Things have changed really rapidly and pretty drastically, not only in the ministry of our church, but in the partnerships we've had. And so, a lot of this you'll get in December when we have our voters meeting, but I'm going to go ahead and spiel this out to you now. So, systematically, within the last several months, this is kind of where we're at. Barnabas House is no longer in existence. 60 and Better, actually during this time, went defunct. And so we do not have that partnership anymore. So after all the years of doing Barnabas House, that ministry kind of went bye-bye. In the same time, if you remember, we used to do the senior share once a month with a food bank, and we would have senior citizens come and get food. They have canceled those ministries for the indefinite future. And what they're doing are their large food banks where they bring semi-trucks in, and everybody at any age can come and get the food outside. So that ministry is gone for all intents and purposes. A lot of the YMCA partnership we had, while we're still partners, they are not planning any indoor activities and sports events for a good long time. So that ministry is now null and void at this point. They have assured us when they start back, of course they will be back. So my head has really been spinning, right? Because I'm like, wait, these were foundational ministries for our congregation. We loved doing these things. And so I started praying. I started talking to other pastors. And the consensus out there between some of my brothers, and this isn't just Lutheran pastors, I actually have friends outside the Lutheran Church. Don't report me. Is that this COVID thing is a time for reevaluation. Right? God is giving us this, even though we may not realize it yet, this breath of saying, okay, take a time, relax, and see what's on your horizon. So I fervently started praying. And I started praying, this past summer, God, what is it that you want us to do at Christ Lutheran Church? This is a loving congregation, a community-oriented congregation, community-minded congregation. It's one of the best congregations I've ever served. What is it that you have in store for us? And probably not more than a couple weeks later, I get a phone call from Dr. Johannes Mengstab. Dr. Mengstab is our district mission and ministry facilitator for area. What area are we, Steph? I always get mixed up. Are we? I can't remember. Whatever area we are of the district, okay? So he's kind of like the direct district representative in our area. And he says, I want to talk to you. And so I'm like, oh boy, what did I do now? Usually that's not a good phone call. And actually it was a good phone call. And he said, the district knows your heart for mission. And if you know me, I have a heart for mission. My first call was as a missionary to the inner city of Buffalo, New York, and that's kind of where my heart has always been. I'm not going to lie to you, being a missionary is a lot easier than being a pastor because you don't have anybody to offend. The people you're reaching are already offended by the gospel anyway, so there's not much more you can do to offend them, right? So, but I do like being a pastor too. Then he said something I want to share with you. He said the district knows Christ Lutheran Church, and we know that you're a loving, community-oriented congregation. We have seen what you've done, and we have something for you. So I'm waiting in bated breath, and here's what has been proposed to us. We've had 2 meetings with our leadership and the elders, and we have agreed to move forward into this new direction of ministry. So in the last about 7 years, there have been a large increase in the Southwest Fort Worth of both African American population and African immigrant populations, primarily from Liberia. Liberia. Okay? And so the district has been looking at these ideas of how can we reach these communities using existing congregations, which is kind of a novel idea because in the past they would just plant a new congregation and go from there. But one of the things that we've realized is that there's a great depth from being a multinational congregation, a congregation that reflects our community. If you look at our surrounding community, we really don't reflect our community too well. I'm not saying that as a negative thing, but we don't. Let's be honest about that. So the district presented to us this wonderful opportunity. There are 2 ordained pastors already here. Both of them grew up in Liberia. And they're ordained. Well, they're not quite there. They're almost there. One is going through the colloquy interview next week and will be ordained. And the other is going, because he was a pastor in Liberia who grew up Lutheran but wasn't Missouri Synod. And then the other pastor is going through the seminary through what's called EIIT, which is the Ethnic Immigrant Institute of Theology. And that's how they become ordained. And then his wife, the one's wife, is also part of this team. And so what's going to happen is they're going to come be part of our congregation. And working in partnership with them, we're going to grow God's kingdom, and we're going to grow Christ Lutheran Church. And they are going to be here. They are going to be taking over Stephanie's office. Stephanie will be moving into Gary's former office. Ron will be sharing Gary's former office with Stephanie. If you don't know, Ron's coming on staff as our bookkeeper in January. So that's kind of awesome as well. And so that will happen, that transition will happen. And they will begin working with me as part of our staff in reaching the African Americans in our community and the African immigrant population. And the idea is, what they do is they go to apartment complexes where most of these immigrants live, right around us. We have a plethora of them. And they start in-home Bible studies. And they'll start these in-home Bible studies, and they'll start reaching people. And as transition happens, they will invite them to worship with us. And we will be worshiping together as a multinational congregation. Now, as they grow, eventually there will be 2 worship services. They will be encouraged to come to ours, but they'll probably do one in native language as well. We're not sure what that will look like, okay? So the first thing in my mind is, yay, I can go on vacation. There'll be another ordained pastor here. No, that's bad. The first thing in my mind is, this is so exciting. Now here's the kicker. The district pays for all of this. Because they know that most Lutheran congregations say, well, who's funding it? Right? So they pay for this. This is really awesome. So financially, the district is putting their money behind this and saying, we believe this will work at Christ Lutheran Church. The amazing thing is, this exact model has not been tried anywhere. This will be the first time in our church body where this model of church planting has been established and tried, with the ultimate goal of the 2 ministries will become one congregation. They will become Christ Lutheran Church. And that is really awesome to think about. So the long-term goal is it will be one worshiping body with multinational cultures all worshiping under the same auspice of the same congregation. Now, I don't know about you, but if that doesn't give you a vision of the kingdom of heaven. Last week our reading was from Revelation, talking about there was people from every nation and every tribe from under the earth and every language. That is a picture of heaven. And I'm really excited about this, and I think it's an answer from God for us. And it's a very, very beautiful thing. So the network that they're working with for the district is called Mosaic. I forget what Mosaic stands for, but that's the new network for African immigrant ministries. The one pastor is the head of Mosaic. He will be here until the church is established. And then he will leave. The other pastor will permanently be here. Okay? So technically, once we grow into a congregation that's combined, we'll have to look at issuing a call on those types of things. But that's long down the road. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is a slow process, which is okay, right? It's a slow process, and it's okay. So then he and his wife will leave, and their next stop will be Arlington, where they'll plant another one. But the one pastor, Wellington is his name. Wellington Morris will be the pastor who will be officially here. John and Kia Vrauer are the 2 missionaries that head Mosaic for the district, and they will be here until the new church is really up and running and going.
The other one will stay.
Wellington will stay here. Wellington just immigrated here from Liberia. He grew up Lutheran. Interesting enough, Pastor John, Wellington are actually half brothers. They grew up together in Liberia, which is kind of cool. They never thought they'd be here working together, right? Wellington's wife is still in Liberia, and she was supposed to be here by now, but COVID shut everything down. So they've been living continents apart. But hopefully by the middle of next year, she will be able to join us here and be part of our family at Christ Lutheran Church. So that's our goal. And I've offered them any assistance that we can in the meantime to help them, right? We've had a very generous donor here at church who is a person on leadership who's donating all their new furniture. for their office, which is just awesome. Our leadership and our elders are just so ecstatic about this. The excitement level just went through the roof because I don't know. I hope you're excited about this. I mean, this is like a rebirth, right? I mean, think about this. I've been saying for 5 years, God has put us at the corner of 4409 Sycamore School Road for a reason, right? For a reason. And look at what He's done. And this is because of what we do. God is saying, here, I trust you and love you so much that I'm giving you this gift. I'm charging it to Christ Lutheran Church. And I know you will use it well. You will use it to expand the kingdom in ways you never thought you would do it. I just think that's awesome. The idea of this model is, there's not a fancy name from the district. We haven't come up with a fancy name. But it's basically a congregation within a congregation. And those two congregations will grow to become one. All right? They will grow to become one. And that's the intent purpose of this. And I cannot wait for you to meet John and Wellington and Kia. They are the most exciting people I have ever met. And they're smart, and they're wise, and they love Jesus, and they love people, and you are just going to be floored when you meet them. They're going to be a wonderful addition to our family. And you know, it's interesting because if you've noticed, probably in the last 5 years, we've had a Hispanic family join, and we've had an African American family join, and I'm just like, well, God is already preparing us for this wonderful opportunity, and I'm so excited. I'll share this with you. Charles Hightower agreed to run for elder. And I love Charles, and he's going to bring such a great new perspective to our elders. And I mean, things are just taking off. And I hope that you can see the blessings in this. I really hope you can see the blessings in this because good things are on the horizon. I will be honest with you. Until this happened, after this year, I was done. I'm just burned out. I'm like, okay, whatever. This has brought me renewed energy and excitement too. And I hope it does you, because it's awesome. All right, questions. Any questions? None off limits. All questions are good and important, and no question is dumb. And if I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. I assure you that. It already has.
When are they going to be here?
So we have to move out of that office, and as soon as we get everything moved out and get transitioned over, they were here Monday, good chunk of the morning.
Actually, tell them they've already been working in one of the apartment complexes here. Before
Yes.
you said yes, they were already going to be doing ministry in
Yeah,
this area.
they're already in one of our apartment complexes now. Yeah, it's really exciting.
We wanted to partner. They were still going to be doing outreach.
Now here, let me tell you something exciting. So for 5 years for VBS, we've been trying to get into the apartment complexes to do our VBSs on location. We always had the door shut. This ministry goes in, they've already done this out in Hearst. Peace Lutheran Church in Hearst. They've already done, not the same exact model. They planted a separate church there, out of Peace Hearst. It was not the same model. But they went into these apartment complexes. They opened the doors. They gave the missionary a free apartment to live in, and they're allowed to use the apartment complex for their ministry. Now I'm like, and that's already happening here. If that's not God opening up doors, I mean, right? I mean, that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. This is so exciting. How God is just opening up these doors. And the neat thing is, if it works, and I'm not going to say if, as it works, the district will already use us as a model to bring other congregations from the country around to see what we're doing. Okay? So we will become a model for other congregations. I love it. It's exciting. You know, Gene, it's just a miracle to me because we loved our ministries so much and they're gone. And I was mourning the loss of these. And I haven't told you guys yet because I was mourning the loss and I didn't want you guys to mourn another loss in 2020. But now I can say, well, we have a loss to mourn, but we have a new beginning to rejoice in too. Right? So this is exciting. Well, that's awesome. I like how you think. You can make the first donation. Actually, we have a plan on this wall. It's kind of a master plan to add, well, there's several more wings we can add here, and to add a new sanctuary at that end of the building. So we have plenty of room to grow on this property. But let's not go there yet, right? But hopefully so, if COVID allows us. But I like how you think. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, what we'll probably have to do is 2 services. But they're not coming in. The church plants usually take about the missionaries will be here, and the door will be open. But the transition usually takes about a year to go from apartment into the church. So hopefully by then, we keep praying and COVID will be done. But that's a very good question. And if need be, we can just, we could probably just, we'll just go to 2 services. I guess we'll have to be flexible, right? But that's a very good question. Thank you. Right now, we're still trying to figure that out. The biggest thing is pray for this, right? We have strike that, reverse it. Satan, okay, Satan will attack this. He will. That's not to make you afraid. He just will. Anytime you do something like this, Satan has to have his ugly little dirty hands in it. We don't have to be afraid. So we got to cover in prayer, number one. As needs arise, we'll put it out to the congregation, welcoming them, because the missionaries, the pastor will be here. I think he's going to start helping me lead worship the first Sunday in Advent. Because we want him off the ground getting worship experience, just coming out of the colloquy program and getting into the ministry. So he will be helping to lead worship right off the bat. So welcoming them, and I'm sure one of the things, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but like, for example, the congregation's done this in the past. I think when we had, Bob, you were here, you were probably here, I know you were here, so you were here. So correct me if I'm wrong, when we did English as a second language, didn't we do like an angel tree for the kids? We've already talked about doing that for the immigrant families once we get established with that. I don't think that'll happen this year per se, but probably next year. Okay. I like how you said that, because we are able to uphold and recognize their culture and their nationality. That's the beauty of this model. I think, don't take me wrong on this, but a lot of times when these things happen, and I've seen this happen, there's a nice white Anglo-German congregation, right? And so they'll reach these immigrants and they'll say, you have to become like us. That doesn't work too well. Because remember, and this is a very fascinating point, when John saw the vision of heaven, he saw every culture and nationality and language. They were celebrating the diversity, right? Even though we're one in Christ, there's beautiful diversity. Just like you look at the beautiful, well, not out here, but some of the trees, they have different colored leaves on them and they're beautiful, right? But they're all part of the same tree. We're all part of the body of Christ, but there's beauty in this diversity in the kingdom of God, things we can learn from each other. And so you're exactly right. And this is the beauty of this model. Instead of saying you're going to come become like us, we're going to take it and say we're going to be one in Christ and learn from each other on how this is going to look. I think that's a marvelous plan. We give, they give, how uplifting is that? They will be integrated with us, so they'll be our members, so they'll be able to serve in our leadership, obviously. But how that looks, we don't know exactly yet. I think one of the mistakes, too, that's made a lot of times with these plants, with church plants in general, is we wait until we have everything in place, and then we never get it started. And the district is saying, we're going to go ahead and start it, and we trust that God will help everything come into place. He will. It just will be beautiful. But that's a good question. And to be honest, we don't have that full answer yet. But everybody will be, the goal is, everybody will be communicated to. Nothing is going to be, that's the wrong way. Everything will be transparent in this process, okay? Because we believe that it has to be transparent so that, heaven forbid, infighting starts. Because you know how sometimes we can get territorial, right? Okay, we don't want that to start. So we're going to be very transparent in this process, working together. And I'll be honest with you, let me kind of give you a little bit of history about the Missouri Synod. Even though we're not diverse, we have always been a church body that believes in diversity and outreach. We have a fairly large contingent of African American churches. Little history, a lot of people don't know this. During the Civil War, the Missouri Synod was one of the few church bodies in the United States who publicly denounced slavery. As far as I know, there weren't many others that did that. Some pockets and handfuls. We were one of the few church bodies in the United States that publicly denounced slavery. I think that's quite a legacy that we need to carry. Because from the very beginning, we've been a church body of openness, inclusiveness, and it doesn't matter who you are, you're loved by God. So I think it's very important for us to realize this is part of our legacy. It's who we are. Again, I think it's a very bold statement of who we are. I think it's good we're finally recognizing, yeah, those are some of our roots. It's kind of exciting to go back to those. I'm proud of that fact. I hope you are too, that our church body has always been one that says, we just want to love people. Doesn't matter who you are. I don't know. I think that's really awesome. Right? And a lot of churches say that, but if you look at their history, that's not been so. Maybe they change. I hope they can. And I believe some do. But I also believe sometimes there's strings of generational stuff that still continues to pop up and rear its ugly head. So please keep this in your prayers. keep the transition in your prayers. Just keep everything in your prayers. I really believe this is a new era for Christ Lutheran Church. If you look, our church body, our congregation, and some of you know this better than I do, our church body has kind of had these different eras, right? We were down on Granbury Road. We were there for a good long time. And our church was mission-minded enough to say, maybe this isn't where we need to be anymore. I went to a storefront ministry, and some things changed during that time. It was a hard time. But the right pastor came along and started building up the congregation again with new people. And then they bought this property, right? And now we're here. And look at the facility we have. I mean, really, we're really blessed, right? You know that, right? We're really blessed. And as a matter of fact, I was floored. You know, we get a tax, what do you call those things? Property value from the tax district, even though we don't have to pay. Yeah, thank you. Even though we don't pay taxes, and it was almost $4 million. Is that right, Ron?
Plus.
It was $4 million plus. $4 million plus. And we're sitting on that. Listen to this, folks. Listen to what God has done for you. That's what God has done for you. We're sitting on $4 million property with full facilities, with a gym. This is what God is doing for you. And now we had this wonderful 20 plus years where we did this food ministry, Barnabas House, and other food ministries, and that's how we fed the community. Some of those will continue, like our farmers market outside during the summer. Some of those will continue. It's okay. It's good. And now God says, I have something new for you, a new era. You're going to look different. You're going to maybe worship different sometimes. But you're going to reflect what the kingdom looks like. And other people will be drawn to you to see how to do it. Did you ever think that would be the case for Christ Lutheran Church? I mean, think about it. I mean, your potential's unlimited. But think about that. Think about how we will impact the kingdom. I've been saying it for 5 years. How we're going to impact the kingdom of God. We've had our ups and downs. And we will continue to have ups and downs and struggles and family quarrels. That's part of being a family. But in all of it, God is still working. His kingdom will grow through us and is already growing. And we thank Him for that. It will be exciting. It will be exciting. And I hope that as people have questions, and I'm not naive in this. I'm not naive, okay? There will be some people in our congregation who are going to get upset about this because they'll feel they're losing power or feel they're losing their congregation. We will lovingly come alongside of them and help. But as the elders and the leadership in the meeting said, and the elders reiterated this when we talked again, if they don't like it, there are plenty of other churches for them to go to because we have a mission that God has given us. They will still go to heaven, and that's okay. They will still be part of the family of Christ, extended. We have a mission that God has given us, and we can't let things like that detract from that mission. That's how churches grow. Sounds harsh, but that's the truth and the reality. And as we go, God will grow. Okay? Now, I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope everybody is on board and excited. I hope. But if they're not, we will lovingly walk with them. We will hold their hands and we'll walk with them. We'll listen to them. And we'll try our best to calm any fears or anxieties. Okay? All right? And maybe share our enthusiasm with them too. Yeah.
I'm sad about Barnabas House though.
And me too. I'm very sad about Barnabas House too. And we all are.
Sad about what?
Barnabas House.
Oh.
And we all are. That wasn't our decision. The 60 and better is just gone. They turned everything over to Meals on Wheels. Which kind of makes sense, I guess, during this time that people are being delivered meals in their homes. But we are sad too. Yeah, we hate to see that go. It was very much a part of who we are. It was part of our identity. I totally understand that. And I mourn that loss with you. I do. And this isn't going to be a replacement for that. Right? This is just something new.
I'm excited though.
Good. Me too. It's kind of like bittersweet, right?
Yeah.
You mourn one thing and you celebrate something new. That's kind of the cycle of life, even death. When somebody dies, we mourn their loss, but we celebrate their new life. It's kind of the cycle of life in a real aspect. May God bless you. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you again tomorrow night. Bye-bye. I love you.